everybody. Joe and we are doing a 60-minute session each for Tor today. Tor, thank you so very much for the opportunity. I'm really excited to look into these goals with Joe, and we are going to see it through our own unique perspective, do some awesome healing for you and some wisdom. I know there's going to be some wisdom coming out of this. I guarantee you're not the only person who has had this experience before. I've actually had this experience before. It's not something I've had to live with for years and years and years, but I have witnessed myself have this. So I'm going to read your goals out loud. And before I get too far, I'll let you guys know, I'm going to put a link in the description if you'd like to check out Joe's experience. Okay, here are the goals. You say, "Hi there, Abbey and Joseph. The insight you both shared in the last session on another topic a year ago was greatly appreciated, and so I feel called to ask you for any enlightenment about an experience I feel done with, but cannot seem to move past. For almost as long as I can remember, I have felt a paralyzing sense of discomfort in groups of more than 2 people. Any self-confidence goes out the window, and I am left pretty much mute, with blood rushing to my head at any remark where I think I have to react, act a certain way, or speak up. I am left as an automaton, trying to follow the conversation in a mind fog, while trying to perform a badly acted role as an attentive fellow human being. To put it short, it's an experience I'm exposed to several times a week for over 20 years and feel completely stuck in changing to something more enjoyable where I can be more of myself. It has left me thinking that it's something I am to experience, to accept, and relive time and again, not to figure out. That does not feel right or satisfying either, nor does it bring any relief to the discomfort and shame felt several times a week. Constantly reminding myself that I have nothing to feel ashamed of and to just feel and live, it helps a little. On a lighter note, I have felt great love and support from the unseen during the past year. It's a constant reminder that I'm not alone. I'm reminded of this through constant repeating numbers and energetic hugs several times a day that feel like being physically close to someone you love, for comparison. It has helped me to feel at home and loved. Please do share if anything comes up about this and the loving support I have been feeling. In great appreciation, Tor." That's really cool. I like this on the lighter note. I'm really glad that you get to experience and feel that. And just the fact that you get to share that this is happening to you, that you have this blessing in your life, it gives other people the reassurance that it's there for them too, and that they too can have that experience as well. You know, sometimes we go through, I've had this in my own life, I've definitely experienced what you feel several times a week for 20 years. And getting to that conclusion, I've had that happen to me several times. Not on a regular basis, but several times I can recall feeling that way. But when I have dealt with depression, for instance, for over 25 years, I dealt with depression. And it was almost like the final conclusion for me was that maybe it's just supposed to be this way. Maybe this is just the way life is supposed to feel and be experienced, and not to resist it or reject it, but just to go with it and just to feel it when it needs to be felt. And for some reason, once you can give in to that a little bit more and not judging yourself for having that condition that makes no sense because you don't really want to feel this way, but you do. You don't really want to have this behavior in groups of 2 or more, but you do. When you kind of give into that it's okay to just be this way, and maybe there's really no solution per se. It's not the best feeling, it's not the most satisfying feeling, but something does change in you when you do that. There's like an odd shift, like I'm okay just the way that I am. It does give you more of an edge. It does change things inside yourself. I just wanted to say that. Okay, I'm seriously ready, and you know what? We are going to make sense of this. We are going to find a way for you to get to the next level of this experience, which is either A, to move beyond it, to grow out of it, or B, to come into harmony with it on some new level that feels freeing of your senses, Let's just see where this goes. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh. So I'm recreating the experience. We're going to have 3 people and you're going to be in a group conversation. And on the energy side of things, it is so ridiculously loud. I can't actually hear what anybody's saying. It's almost like I'm picking up keywords or key gestures and facial expressions, hand movements. This facial expression makes me think you're sad or that you're angry or that you're happy. So I can kind of clue into what this conversation may be about based on how I'm viewing you and your body language. But this sound is so loud and so overwhelming that it's hard to actually be fully engaged with this conversation. So I got to understand, where is that sound coming from? I want to say initially we'll just say that it is this, but let's keep working forward to figure it out more. Let's say we take the energy of 3 people and all their sound, their insecurities, their joys, their memories, their soul energy, and let's just combine it together and expand it out and then amplify it and then turn up the volume and then become completely and utterly overwhelmed by it. To the point that it's like almost hard to breathe. It's hard to be present. It's hard to behave correctly. It's hard to adjust to it. It's impossible. It's really impossible. And I have to understand, what are you so empathic that you're sensing to such an extreme degree what is beneath the surface of every person that is so overwhelming? It's loud and it's overwhelming you to the point that you can't really be present. Like, how is this happening? Because it makes me feel like you are literally tapping into the energetic tune and sound and vibration of these 3 people. And it's completely and utterly so overwhelming that you can't translate them. Because you're trying to translate them from what's beneath the surface and not what's at the surface. And so if you're talking to one person, you're able to translate them for what's beneath the surface while you're also listening to what's at the surface of what they're sharing. So you're doing an extraordinary and comprehensive exchange with each individual person, which is pretty incredible. I'm going to just make it one person, and I want to see how you interact with just one person, okay? I actually see that you're kind of, this one person, I don't know, you're bored. Like, you're interacting, you seem interested, you seem engaged, but again, it's more like you're playing a part or you're playing a role in order to be received in a certain way that is going to be acceptable based on how you want to be received as somebody with manners and a gentleman. And it's almost like there's a list of ways that you want to be received by people, and you always want to be able to mark off the list. I behaved like this, I was polite, I was respectful, I was engaged, I was all these gestures, all of these intonations of the voice, all of these hand gestures. And so when you talk to just one person, it's like you can nail it. But once it starts to add up, it's too many people to be sure that you actually were able to cross everything off the list. I'm convinced you're doing this even if it's just one person. I'm convinced, but because you can handle one person with this act, it's harder to handle 3 people with this act. I get the impression it might actually be hard for you to truly be yourself in conversation, because somewhere along the line you would rather uphold the representation of how to be a good communicator than actually just be yourself in communication, because it must be said somewhere inside you that you're going to screw this up. you're going to fail people, which is then failing yourself, which is letting everybody down, and you're going to say something stupid, and then you're going to be ashamed, and then, but that's what ends up happening anyway, 2 times a week, right? So we know this stuff. I guarantee you're trying to get to the root, you're observing this, you're taking notes of this, and how do I stop doing this? And it's 20 years now, and we're still doing it. So let's continue to make sense of it, okay? So I'm supposed to say that it feels like to me, repeating myself here, is that it feels like to me you're doing this with one person, the exact same that you would do it with 3 people. It just doesn't overwhelm you to do it with one person. But then to do all this cataloging and all this, like making sure to be this, and this for people, 3 people is a little bit harder to keep up with, because you also are getting into a deeper side of what people are saying at the forefront. You're going deeper than that in how you translate people. So to be able to do it for 3 people is requiring a lot of you. It's really, you're really going to have to extend yourself. I am not sure yet what to do differently here in order to break this habit. Because to break this habit, you're going to now be not yourself. So how are you going to be not yourself? Easy, just stop being yourself. So it's a little bit of a conundrum as to how we're going to accomplish this and help you to ease into a new way of doing things. So I've got to wait and figure this out. My guides are kind of smiling because we're talking about what it is to be you and then what it is to be not you. Is that a better you? To be not yourself is actually going to achieve a better you? It's kind of a funny conversation, really, because it's going to feel like you've become the fish out of water to stop doing this thing you're doing. It's going to feel like you're not being yourself because you're not going to be able to uphold the standards of the old you. And if you don't uphold the standards of the old you, then you're breaking the system. And now you're going to be a strange you, a new you, that isn't going to be as attentive or as assessing of each individual person and as catering to their needs as you once were before. You're going to have to do less for people in these conversations. You're going to have to, in a way, it would be defined inside of yourself, not care about them. But are you actually not caring about them? You care about them so much you can't even flipping breathe in conversation. That's how much you care. So now if you are to be able to breathe in conversation in order to achieve that, you're going to have to not care about them. That's how it's going to translate inside you, although that's not at all the case. So now to be not yourself is going to be a not caring person who's not very attentive, who isn't really receptive, who isn't saying anything right, who is blah, 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 negative stuff, okay? So to be not this other you is going to be worse, which is actually going to be more comforting to yourself, more self-loving. You're asking me, well, then maybe it's like a superpower to be able to do this. I say, okay, well, let's say that it is a superpower, that you are assessing people deeply and you are receptive and you are compassionate, empathetic, and you're all these list of things to do. Isn't that, that's giving too much of yourself without there being the balance of giving and receiving, because they might actually want to be more attentive to you than you're allowing them to be. Maybe you need to let them come into yourself as well. Because also, if this is a superpower, which I feel this is a unique thing that you're doing this, it would mean that you are far more receptive to people's behavioral patterns than even the average bear. Like you are a one of a kind level. Like you are in the minority of being able to accomplish something like this and what you're perceiving and picking up on. But what does that mean to you in the end? At the conscious level, no matter what you're translating energetically and how receptive and all these things you are, what are you really getting out of the exchange in the long run? Disappointment in yourself, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you can't do this. So if it's a superpower, it comes with a cost, which isn't really helping you to be grounded in the balance of the exchange, right? Because what we want to achieve here is a balanced exchange. You're overcompensating for things that aren't going to help you have a balanced human level exchange. What I would challenge you to do is, why not have some fun with this? You stop overcompensating for the situation. You stop being perfect. You stop having the manners, having the gestures, because none of that stuff matters anymore. Because you're going to have to go backward in order to go forward. But after you have this conversation, what if you took it back to some time later in the evening or the next day, where you can just ponder and really, in your imagination, remember the faces, remember the conversation, remember the sound of their voices, almost like a photographic memory of what that person meant to you in that exchange. And now we're looking at 3. And how receptive were you to the very minute details that we don't even have words to translate, those minute details of an exchange of conversation that was even unspoken words, that was at the soul level. And how do you feel a representation, like a connection with these 3 people, let's say, or these 2 people, or this one person, where you could do all the fun energetic thing that you do later and just reconnect with it, feel it out, but try to do less of that. Gosh, when it's like, give it a try to do less this time, like try to do less. But again, we're coming back to, what is it to be you? Do you need to be less of yourself in order to be a better you? I think it's kind of cool to think of you having to do less work in order to get a more receptive experience for you and for them even. Okay, so I've said all this stuff. Let's see what the next thing is, okay? All right, I'm still working with you. We're going to start with just one person. So you and I are standing as one person, and we are you, Tor, okay? So now, Tor, there's another person here standing in front of us. And I am showing you energetically how to just take a vacation on engaging with all these sensory details. And that's an invisible action. That's like either we pay attention to our breathing or it just happens. So you're gonna have to pay attention to something that you seem to just naturally do, like breathe. But you naturally just intuitively need to know every single minute detail and cross it off this list, this off the list, right? In order to represent what is a good communicator. So I'm altering your energetic relationship with this exchange to help you just put some of that on vacation. You feel sloppy, you feel slow, you feel less attentive. You feel groggy. You feel like you can't relate to people. Huh. I don't see it in action, though. I don't see that in this exchange you are less than yourself. You actually are more yourself. Because you're not like the automaton you were talking about, you're not a robotic, you're just a regular person. And maybe you're trying to impress people and you don't need to. You don't need to impress this person. You don't need them to like you. And if they want to go home later and roll their eyes and say, my God, I talked to Tor today, what a freaking weirdo. That's their personal experience. Let them say that about you if they want to. That doesn't mean that it's true about you, does it? You're starting to become emotional because you feel like you simply are a weirdo. And all you want is to not do this and not act like this. I say, then be a weirdo. Like, be a weirdo then. Be less than you were before as actually more genuinely who you are. And I have a feeling that because you care so much, it will still shine through in your exchanges. That you still generously give, you lend your ear, you share your opinion. And it's okay if you don't know what to say. I think that there's this error in the way that our world reveals, I just told you all of this. What do you think about that? I don't know what my opinion is on that. I don't know what to say about that. That's okay. It's okay to literally have nothing to say. It feels like you're supposed to have something to say. It feels like the right thing to do is to say something. But maybe saying something is saying, thank you for sharing all of that. I can really tell this is a tough spot for you. I don't know what to say about it because nothing's coming to me. Does that mean you're not a caring person? No, not at all. It means you're somebody who's so deep that you don't have a response yet because you haven't digested the meaning of the conversation yet, and you just choose to take your time in digesting the meaning of the conversation. And other people are quick and want to keep going back and forth and back and forth. But you actually like to reminisce in the way these interactions feel. So you work in communication in a different pace than other people. And you're trying to overcompensate for that. But I think you should just work at your own pace and find little tools like, I don't know what to say. I literally don't know what to say yet, but I know that I will have some thoughts and I would really like to tell you my thoughts on this, but I'm going to reflect on it overnight. You have a right to say that. I think that's actually pretty cool. That's really respecting people and the act of communication. And it's speaking in a way that's very unfamiliar because people just don't simply do that. I kind of like it though. I actually like that idea of someone saying, I don't know what to say yet, but I'm actually going to take some time to reflect on this, and then I would love to tell you what I think in a couple days. I mean, that's the truth. It doesn't get more honest than that. I have a feeling people will really like that more. So again, I'm still working on changing your energy pattern. And what it feels like is slowing you way freaking down. It's almost like you get all wound up and you get hundreds of miles per hour ahead of yourself, and you're trying to get back in your body and slow down, and everything is done by your mind and none of it's working. When really we're just going to have to feel, in a way, at a totally different pace than you ever were choosing to connect with before. And it's going to feel like Speedy Gonzalez turned into a snail. And I would recommend that you do this whether you're talking to one person or multiple people. Because if you practice this on one person, you're going to start to pick up another rhythm when it comes to communicating with multiple people. I'm still slowing you down because you project yourself so far outside your body. I'm trying to bring you back into your body here. And I have a feeling that that has to do with feeling overwhelmed. Oftentimes we'll pop out of our body when we feel overwhelmed, but the wheels are turning so fast, you're not only popping out of yourself, you're running away from yourself and this whole experience. And that would also get it to feel very overwhelming, like you're trying way too hard to know how to fit into the perception of communicating, and it becomes an action instead of a doing, you know? Like a receiving, a giving and receiving exchange. So I'm slowing you down and bringing you back into your body. It's like, think of this as being less of yourself, like less than yourself, is actually giving you a vacation from being overwhelmed. And less than does not mean less than. It actually means more enriching exchange of you, what you say and what you receive. And it's going to empower every side of this. This is exhausting. Because even for me to get to as far as we've gotten this far, I feel exhausted. So you even practicing this, it could be draining, okay? For you to practice this in real life could be exhausting. It's kind of interesting that it could be exhausting because what we're doing is slowing down. And we're actually getting to the right pace here. And for some reason that creates exhaustion because we're going against the grains of what usually happens, which things seem to rev up. You get way ahead of yourself. All the sound of everybody's voice and their energy fields becomes extremely amplified. This becomes a coping mechanism, and you're trying to achieve all these goals of perception in them. And it's not about just human exchange anymore. It's about achieving some kind of a vision of what a good conversation looks like. I don't feel like you mean to do this at all. I actually feel like you have a different way of communicating with people and it doesn't fit into the mainstream. And it would be better for you to be your real communication style, which maybe somebody doesn't know what to say right away. Maybe somebody who doesn't want to have all these facial gestures or hand gestures or intonations of the voice. Maybe somebody who wants to wind down, relax, and be less talkative. I'm not sure. I am still in the midst of feeling very exhausted and overwhelmed because I'm still working on changing your energetic vibration when it comes to this and embracing just you and your way of doing things and giving other people a chance to receive the real you. So I'm going to put a mirror and I'm going to have you talk to yourself in the mirror. I want to see how you do with a relationship with yourself. Interesting. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what echoes back is I hear drums. I see a bouncy ball going like all over the place. I see the color green appears over here. I hear some other strange noises, and I see like, I don't know, squiggly lines appearing. I'm going to relax all this sound down. You tell me, but it's happening. The drums are real. The bouncy ball is real. The green is real. The curvy lines are real. These are all an important part of what is. I'm having this experience. I'm talking to myself. So what? It's myself. But all this information is really happening, and I don't know how to translate it through my human mind. I don't know what to do. So how are you going to talk about 4 things at once? Because I can't genuinely describe 4 things at once. I can quickly describe it. I myself don't know how to give it each of these 4 things the credit it deserves. So it's going to come out as pretty plain, pretty basic. Man, you're moving so fast. You're like, you're showing me all these different pictures and you're, it's like, okay. So again, you're picking up on so much more information than you know how to even translate and react to. I mean, you could be picking up a trillion pieces of information, but you can only work with so much as a human being. So now we've got this conflict between slowing down and then it's speeding up because you're digesting so much information. And how do you stop doing that? Then is stop being yourself. How do you then be less than yourself if this is your usual knack? Because what you're trying to do is figure out what I would be most interested in. Am I most interested in the squiggle lines or the bouncy ball, the color green? What would I be most interested in here? You're trying to decide what you would talk about, but you're kind of having an exchange with yourself. So what would you be most interested in? You can't decide because all the details are important. So I make them disappear and I allow you to experience no sound at all. And we're going to move through the next layer, the next layer, the next layer, the next layer, the next layer of no sound at all. You have absolutely no clue what information you're receiving because there's literally no sound. And there are no images. There's no nothing here. So now you are just looking into your own eyes in silence. The next thing that comes up is in your heart. It's creating conflict where there really isn't a need for anything because we're choosing to have no sound right now. And so I tell your heart, we're choosing to have no sound right now, so I'm going to erase that. But there has to be sound, there has to be an exchange, there has to be something said. No, nothing. But this is driving you nuts. No, I have to say something. No, nothing. You don't have to say anything. I'm going to turn a mirror of you into a mirror of one other person. It's just someone else. We don't even know who this person is. And instantly, you are putting on your best behavior. You are being attentive and caring and concerned the way that you would want someone to be towards you. And I just allow you to experience just silence. It's going to feel really weird. Because if you're having a conversation with somebody, you can't just sit there in silence. That's not an exchange. Holy smokes. Again, I'm running into you, translating incredible quantities of information that you wouldn't even be able to consciously understand all the things that you're interpreting from talking to just one single person. And because you care so much, you're overextending yourself to try to meet these certain behaviors or exchanges so you can be well received by people. And then when I tell you to slow down, and then I just allow you to experience silence, you're starting to say, so I can adopt an alternative way of doing things. So I can be me, and I can be a different way of being me. And I say, I like that. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. So instead of changing yourself, you can try on a new way of doing things. And you can always be the other you anytime you want. Because it's almost like creates its own anxiety to try to be somebody you're not familiar with. So you don't have to become that somebody. You can just practice being a different somebody every now and then and see how it makes you feel. It feels like less stress involved. Again, it echoes back to me that it's going to feel like you don't care as much. You're not as attentive, even though you are. You are still just as attentive and just as caring when you slow down and you relax and you don't worry and you be odd, you be weird. Because we're putting 3 people in here, and now we have to do something to reduce this sound, which is forcing you to be less than yourself, which is forcing you to slow down, which is forcing you to interpret less information, which makes you feel like you're less caring and you don't have to know what to say, which again is not being as caring or proactive in the conversation. But it's actually being more genuine. It's actually getting to know people better and them getting to know you better, even if you're a little bit different. I still experience it's easier to just have an exchange with yourself. It's a lot easier because you can receive a trillion pieces of information, but you know yourself enough that you can be whoever you are around yourself. So if you want to talk about this, that, and the other thing, or you don't know how to talk about all that stuff, it doesn't matter because yourself already understands. But now you need to see person number 1 as also yourself, who also understands. Even if she or he doesn't exactly, doesn't matter. Because you're really just talking to yourself. But this you is someone in a totally different body, totally different voice, totally different memories, and accessing a totally different part of day-to-day life. And is bringing that information forward so that you can think about it and see it and talk about it if you want to. And you can say whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. Now we have 3 people, and these are all you as well. These are all you as well. Again, different bodies, different voices, different names, different memories. You've built this comfort zone up with yourself. Again, I'm still working on desensitizing, like your energy exchange gets really fast paced, so I'm slowing it down. It's going to feel like you're less caring, less attentive, blah, 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 less than yourself, blah, blah, blah. But actually, you're just learning another way of being yourself. And you can be the other way of being yourself too, anytime you want to. The goal is to help you feel like a human being again. Okay, I'm going to do some chakra work here. And we're going to do chakra work specifically based on this issue. Because I feel like you're not grounded. I feel like all your chakras get crazy squirrely, and that's become your normal energetic go-to. So now to change it, you're going to have to adopt a new energetic routine, a new translating nature. It's like somebody who likes to go running now can't go running because they just had a baby. So now they have to go months and months, total routine change, energy shift, and they're having a hard time getting back to the person they were most familiar with as all this energy changes. And then 5 years go by, 10 years go by, and they haven't even done any running. And they don't even know who they are now. Because you get familiar with a new way of being, and you adopt a new way of being. This isn't becoming less than yourself. This is just adopting a new energetic routine. That's all it is. We get familiar with it, and then the old routine becomes something we were familiar with in the past, and now this is something we're familiar with in the present. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just doing it differently. You actually feel way more chilled out, way more self-aware, self-loving. You kind of have a sense of pride in yourself for your unique talent. And that's really good. It's actually good to see your behavior is pretty cool. It says more than what you think. Root chakra, let's see what it's like in here. You don't want me to go in there. It's embarrassing. It's stupid. I'm dumb. I'm the dumbest person ever. I'm so stupid and dumb. This has to do with you and communicating with groups of people, okay? So your root chakra is like, doesn't even want me to come in. It's too stupid for me to look at. It's too dumb. You're so dumb. And it does not want anybody to come in. And I can tell your sacral chakra and your root chakra are kind of swallowed up inside each other, and there's major insecurity here between them both. So I move your sacral chakra back to where it goes, and your root chakra is exposed, all alone, independently exposed. There's not the support of the sacral chakra. So it's like I want it to feel super vulnerable, because you can just be yourself, and you can be vulnerable, and you can say the wrong thing. And people can think less of you. You're actually trying to accomplish something that's totally outside the box of what most people wouldn't even imagine that. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool life experience. All right, it's gross in here. It's disgusting in here. I mean, I was supposed to say it like that. I walk in and there's like huge fat like seaweed leaves, and they're slimy, and they're really, everything is kind of jungle-like in here, but more like a water came through and it never flushed out, and it's just gross in here. It's just so gross in here. And I start to clear away all these slimy seaweed leaves, and I see that the ground in here is got a sore or a wound. So your root chakra is wounded, okay? It's ridiculously sensitive and painful. It's like it's got a deep infection beneath the surface of it, and so when I push on it, it's like a really uncomfortable zit. It's like the worst zit of all time. Like, that's how painful it is. And it's going to have to rip. It's like almost like you'd have to rip your whole face open in order to get this. It's like a boil or something. In order to get this out, this will have to be lanced, and this will have to be squished out, and it's going to be ridiculously painful, and you're already crying about it. And you're angry, and why does this have to be so painful, and why does life have to be so stupid, and why is this happening to me? And you hate this so much. You hate this with all of your heart. And I'm just standing here in your root chakra, and this is exposed, and you hate everything about it. It's like a little kid having to get their tooth pulled. Like, it's like any little kid that when it's time for the tooth to come out, they're like, they want it out, but they don't, and they hate this, and life is horrible, and why do I have to endure this stupid tooth, wiggly tooth? Like, I hate this. And so you're really, I mean, this is really amplified. Why this is so stupid. Why does life have to be so stupid that I have to go through this stupid experience and I want nothing to do with it? Why does it have to be so painful? This stupid life is so painful. And unfortunately, this will have to feel a sensation of pain, okay? I really wanted, I could just transmute it, but it's got to be felt. So there literally is a knife and it is lancing it, and this pops and bubbles out with like an infection, okay? And the infection is so deeply rooted in another dimension. And you're starting to vomit from it because it's so disgusting, it's so uncomfortable, it's so painful. I mean, this is true. This is deeply true. This is genuine. This isn't superficial crybaby. This is genuinely true pain. And I go into the root of this wound in your root chakra. I go to the root of your root chakra. I mean, it's in a deep place in another dimension. And it's awful. I mean, I am at the doorway to get to the other side and it's completely blocked. And there's many versions of you that have become a thick skin that is built up here. So I can't cut this open and move through it. I can't get through it. That tells me what's on the other side of this is absolutely horrific. It's not something that you can even cope with facing. Whew. I'm gonna have to project my consciousness over there. There's so much anxiety about this. Like, please, 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 please. You're freaking out. Getting to the other side. Oh man, it gives me this horrible feeling. In the back of my sacral chakra, in the back of my throat, in the back of my brain, above my head, I get this really awful, even chill, okay? I feel cold. And I see, it's hard to interpret, but I'm just gonna say it like this. Let's just say there's like 10 people and they represent moms and dads. And they're finger pointing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And they are like teeth in the mouth, and the teeth go like this. They keep clamping, open, close, and the teeth keep going like this, and the mouths keep moving, and the finger pointing like this is happening. And it's, I hate you, 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 I hate you. It's like the man says, I hate you to the woman, and she gulps it, and then she spits, I hate you into his mouth then gulps it, and then he goes, I hate you, and then it goes back and forth, and the teeth keep going like this, okay? And I see that you're really small, and there's kind of a hole in the ground here that's starting to develop, and it's really kind of like sandpaper, and the ground is white and sand. It's like rough sandpaper texture to it, and this hole starts to appear, and we need to go down even further. This is awful. It's scraping all the skin off of my face as I go in head first, and it's ripping the flesh off of my body to go down in here. And it's really tight. I mean, it is like really clenching me tight on all sides of my body. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I hear this being played around and around, but it's like back and forth and 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 back and forth. Okay. And I'm totally stuck. And my nose is pinched at the very tip of it by something small, and it's like a little black sphere, and it bites the tip of my nose, and it just stays there. And everything's actually becoming silent and more comfortable. And the space starts to turn into ribbons, and the ribbons just kind of disappear. It just opens up. But we're not through this yet. It's almost like we're going to the underbelly of the sacral chakra. And I can tell the ego or the mind is also involved, and we're kind of underneath the surface. We're going beneath the surface and we're doing like an underbelly route through these chakras. So it's like they're internal. We're like on the inside, but it's more towards the back. But we have to go through the front to get to the underbelly, which is also like the back somehow, even if it's from the front. It's kind of odd like this. There's a female energy here. I don't like her. The reason I don't like her is because she's obsessed with herself. She's so ridiculously obsessed with herself. You couldn't possibly ever have a conversation of any kind of meaning, because if it's not about her, then it might as well be a pointless conversation. That's what's so annoying. I don't want to talk to you because I don't want to just talk about you. And I don't even want to talk about you in a polite way just so that I can be polite to you because it's the right way to be, because you actually annoy me. You actually irritate me. I dislike you wholeheartedly. Is it okay if I were to tell you that I really don't like you? Can I say that? Is that okay? I do not like you. And she starts to get really fat, and she's just like she's just vibrating all over the place, and she's starting to get bloated, and she pops into a bunch of maggots. And I see that this is very exhausting, and the head is going around and around, and the mind is just really tired. And I feel like I'm being force-fed these fat maggots from this girl, and she's just like a odd ripped flesh, forcing the maggots into my mouth and down my throat. You will eat, you will consume of my flesh, my awesome greatness. You will feed off of it. You will have this conversation with me about myself. You will. How dare you say you dislike me? You will consume of my maggot flesh. And I see you, and you manifest what is like an axe, and you start hacking her to pieces in order to get her to stop forcing maggots down your throat. You start hacking her to pieces because you're choking on her. She is so self-absorbed that she needs people to choke on her. Gosh, she's awful. She's the worst. And it's like she can't hear anything less than what she needs to hear constantly about her great self. She's the worst. And so you just start, it's like you're in self-defense, and you have an axe, and you start whacking her in the face. And she just does not go away. She never stops. She has something to do with your sacral chakra and your root chakra. And she is relentless. She's relentless. And she starts to pick at your heart from the backside, and she has really long fingernails that are sharp, and she picks, 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 and she picks little pinches of your flesh off the back of your heart. And she laughs, and she says that you're trapped in her jar, like you're her little caught butterfly, and you're now in her jar. And if she wants to pick at your wings and pick you apart, then she can, and she's going to. And she's picking at your heart from the back of it. And I feel it on my actual back. Although I feel like I'm more in the center. And you scream, and you put your hands over your ears, and you say, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. And she just laughs, and she becomes a giant mountain. And she sort of grows over top of you, and it's like the house that falls onto one of the sister witches from like the Wizard of Oz, and you know, that's how Dorothy gets her red shoes. But I see the mountain falls upon you, and there's a mountain sitting on your chest and your face, and all that sticks out as like a little bit of your legs and some shoes. And she laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs. I say, okay. So I go back to the root chakra. We're just going to start from scratch, okay? Because we're going to have to keep moving through this. Let's start from scratch. Okay, root chakra. Let's see what you look like now. She doesn't like to be ignored. That's what is going on here. So I am going to ignore her. She's demonic and out of control. There's a lot of work still to do. It's a lot of work still to do. I'm going to go to your solar plexus because I'm just hopping from root to sacral chakra, and we've got to keep moving. So I'm going to go to your solar plexus, your emotional gut, and see what it's like here. By the way, we'll come full circle with her. You're looking for something. And it's like this really deep chest. And you toss things. And you can't find it, you can't find it, you can't find it, you can't find it. And I see deep in here, like you're gonna have to dive deep. And so you do, and there's like a pearl. But it's really pretty. It's like a metallic, bluish, purpley pink color, okay? So it's really pretty and different. Now you have to go deeper, and you are finally accessing it. But once you touch it, you have no emotional relationship or connection with what this is. It's almost like you completely forget yourself. As soon as you touch it, you don't really know why it's so important to you. You don't really know why you would dive in or you needed to find it. You don't even know what it's for. And you're bored. And you start to sink deeper than the pearl. And you're okay if you lose yourself and you never remember yourself ever again. And you get swallowed up into, I don't know what this energy space is, but you're just getting swallowed deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and you're becoming part of a nothingness. And you don't have the passion or the caliber to just stop yourself from continuing to go deeper. You don't have the motivation, you don't have the desire. Because it's like I keep trying to tell you something, but my mouth moves, but no sound comes out. And I tell you to hold on to that pearl and swim out of there and take your time in understanding it. But you just decide to lose yourself. If it doesn't have any understanding right from the get-go, then the only purpose of me diving deep is to become lost in the depths. I say, okay, let's go to your heart chakra. Your heart chakra also, I keep hearing somebody say that I have a pain in my ass, and then somebody pulls a cord and there's a chainsaw, and it's really oversized and loud. It's ridiculously oversized and loud. It's like Tim Allen, Home Improvement, more power. It's like a more power chainsaw. And I just see the cutting down of another tree and another tree, another tree, but it's like cutting down your heart. It's cutting your heart apart. And I think about how she's picking away at the backside of your heart, and everything is so painful. And why does it have to be so painful? And then I just start to see not the trees being cut down, but the flesh of the earth, which is your heart flesh, is being actually cut with this chainsaw. And I see you are doing this to yourself. And I see her laughing and enjoying you torturing yourself, and that you deserve it for not liking her, for not eating her maggot self, for not consuming of her flesh. It's just like, God. And so, yes, you are torturing yourself. And this is making you extremely dizzy in your third eye. Let's hop over to the throat. All this is going to come together, okay? See what's going on in your throat chakra about this. You're basically grown into a wall. And you're a body grown into a wall. And it's kind of a wet, rocky wall, but it's kind of muddy too. And I see the outline of what would have been like your face and your body. Like Han Solo in the carbonite, you're kind of just like stuck in the wall. And there's liquid that continually is running around you and through you in the wall, but your mouth is like, like you're trying to say something, nothing ever comes out. You can't get unstuck from this. I show the you with the chainsaw that's ripping apart your heart. This you stuck in the wall. I show the you that's getting absorbed deeper and deeper into the abyss of nothingness. I show you this you that's stuck in the wall. I'm going to go to your third eye. Third eye has got lots of bats and spiders. It's completely congested and full of this. It's like, why are all these spiders and bats in here? My God. And I go through your third eye up and around into your crown chakra. And there's avoidance. It just keeps its avoidance. I mean, it's like rocking, like avoidance. Like, my gosh, it's got to take so much energy to keep this up. My God. Wow. It's a lavender color, like really pale purple. Lilac. Yeah, lilac color. It's really pretty, actually. But it's like avoidance. I just like, it's so silly. I don't know why I give it a grape. I put a grape into the mouth that's saying avoidance. It starts to chomp on this grape. And it doesn't want to swallow it. It doesn't want to swallow it. 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 Okay. It's like, come on now. I just start giving it more, the mouth, this like person, this is like just more grapes. Like everything has to be so repetitive in here. And more grapes. I don't want to swallow it. I don't want to swallow it. Avoidance. That's what it's like in your crown chakra. My gosh. Okay, I just burst this and it's revealing a really rancid field of flowers. They're all stinky flowers. And there's a really awful face in the sky. And it's a controlling, emanation of controlling. And I feel like she won't ever let you go. She is going to infest you with her, because she's so obsessed with herself. She needs somebody to be as obsessed with her as she is with herself. In order for her to be, she's completely out of whack. Is it possible that she represents your divine feminine side? And you're running away from yourself? Yourself that has become overinflated and self-absorbed? It's just an idea. And remember, you're not just one reflection, you're multitudes. So when I go into your chakra balance, when it comes to this specific challenge, this is how it behaves. So this could also be how your divine masculine, divine feminine sides are working together, is struggling in this way. And I say as you, I don't want to love her. I don't want to love her. I don't like her at all. She doesn't want to actually love herself, therefore she doesn't want to actually love me. And she wants to harm me, and I don't want to be harmed anymore. And she needs to stop. She refuses to feel as her problem. She refuses to feel, because I feel like she's holding back emotionally. Because if she were to feel, she would feel ashamed of herself. And this has gone on for too long that she can't bear to feel that ashamed of herself. That she actually tortured you and forced you to love her. That would be horrific. That she did that. She failed herself and you. And she can't ever apologize for that because she won't let herself feel the reality of that. But the more I talk about it, the more it's giving her an opportunity to try. She says, then where does my meaning exist? Where do I belong? If you don't want me, if you don't like me. I show her, who in the right mind wants to eat maggots? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And you're forcing this male side to actually beat you with an axe to get you to stop so you can grow as big as a mountain and crush him and then pick at his freaking heart. Like, what is wrong with you? You're a jerk. She's really, man, she's messed up because she's like, fine, then I'll just become self-absorbed with myself. I'll just love myself then. And she starts eating maggots of her own body. Believe it or not, this is a step in the right direction, but it's not the solution. You do finally feel relief because she's not picking at your heart. And I ask, why does she have to have so much ridiculous control? I put her in a box. There's literally nothing in here but herself. There's no even maggots. There's no nothing. There's just herself. And I reduced the sound of her throat chakra mainly because she needs to understand the joy of silence. And she needs a very long time with an opposing energetic direction. I see another scene where she is stomping on your bones and crushing you into the ground, screaming at you. And she's very heavy set. I keep seeing her as a hippopotamus trampling you and then back to herself, and she looks like Jasmine from Aladdin, but she's like a very she's a very bloated version, and she's screaming at you and hating you. She's relentlessly possessive and obsessed with destroying your life. Start to see weird creatures coming out of her backside in this box, and her body completely disappears, and they're weird black creatures. I mean, one of them looks kind of like a raccoon with a stem and a big sphere out the top of its head. It's like a third eyeball, but they're really bony, and they don't have fur. They have really thick, tough skin. I start to realize that you need time to repair and you need the sound removed. I'm going to say that she's not your divine feminine side. She's overshadowing it, which wasn't really a she, it was a something. That something is removed. But you are not energetically familiar with this, and you've been crushed under the weight of this insanity. It's not picking at the back of your heart. You aren't in your crown, you know, the great, like that's different now. You're finally, I see in your emotional gut, you've been suffocating, and you're instantly going up and being pushed up and out of this abyss, and you didn't even need that pearl. It was really just a distraction, and you come shooting out of the chest, and that chest and everything about it just disappears. It has nothing to do with you. It's almost interdimensionally traveling to wherever those weird things in the box are, but it's like going far away. It's not like they need it either. It's completely removed from your emotional gut. Crown is not sure what it is, not sure how to be, and allow it to be a beautiful diamond, like multifaceted. It's just like super beautiful, reflecting light in every direction, the beautiful spirit, beautiful heart. Third eye is so ridiculously tired of looking at the situation, trying to make sense of it. So I give it light. I give it love and nurture. I give it silence and serenity. I give it breath. I give it time. And your throat, all this wall starts to melt, starts to collapse, and you fall out of the wall. And you're inhaling and exhaling for like the first time in a long time. Like you have access to just being you now. Everything is so calm, so much calmer. Everything I felt from the get-go, looking at you as a person surviving with this condition in ways that a human being could alter the dynamic of how you process other people and how you work through exchanges like that, and going into your chakras. This is going to really empower you. Because my God, you're so calm and you're so vibrationally different. Let's see what the chainsaw man in the heart's like here. He's crying and he's mad. He doesn't understand. Why did he have to get put through that absurd experience? He wants to keep using the chainsaw because he wants to take his anger out somehow, and it ends up hurting your heart. And I make the chainsaw disappear, and he has nothing in his hands. I say, how are you going to deal with your anger now? He says, I'll have to live with it. I'll have to live with myself. I say it was good we got rid of the chainsaw because we still have some forest left and some earth left of your heart. And he says, so I could put my anger into energy to grow the forest and to enjoy the forest instead of harming it. And that will heal me. I say, you nailed it. I mean, that's perfect. He doesn't even hesitate. He doesn't even sit down and reflect. He just starts planting seeds because it's so long overdue for him to be able to be free, to be happy. He doesn't want to waste another minute. I'm actually going to, it's not just you anymore, Tor. I'm going to bring people into your heart. And there's going to be 4, 5, 10, 20, 40, 1,000 people in your heart now. And you don't have to be anybody but yourself. I know it's so easy, right? To just be yourself. Exploring these little nuances says it's okay to wind down. It's okay to actually just focus on engaging what you can and say something, or say, I have nothing to say. I mean, and let them do what they do. There's no presentation you have to try to achieve, because that's a major illusion. That's basically the handcuffs that you wear, and you don't need the illusion anymore. Your chakras are so different now, vibing so different, that this is going to help you relax. I even see this man with the chainsaw that's disappeared. He's not, he's welcoming the people to help, because the more people that are here, the quicker we can grow this forest and we can all enjoy it together. Because genuinely, in the depths of your heart, you love people and you love working together for a common goal. And you want to enjoy a beautiful world. And you want to enjoy yourself enjoying that world with others that enjoy it too. You as you are is the key. Let's go to your emotional gut again, where this chest was removed. I just want to see what this you is like. He says, I found a pearl inside myself. It was always inside me. Nothing I have to look for on the outside. It was always there to begin with. Let's go to the sacral chakra. We were kind of in the underbelly of it, but we're going to go in the forefront of it and see what it's like. It's really blubbery and congested in here. And there's a lot of feelings that you're not really sure how to experience those feelings. They're confusing. So I take the feelings and I take them and put them in the solar plexus. I let the solar plexus work through those feelings. And you start to vomit up what is like glitter and change, the sound of coins. And it's all made out of silver. And it's interesting because we're talking about the word change, and it's not just about money. Like, it's not like coins. It's about change, a life change, right? So you're kind of vomiting out those emotions that are hard to process, hard to digest. You're just vomiting them out, and you vomit out change. So we don't have to understand it. And I see that inside your sacral chakra, it's covered in like skin tags, like it's odd growths of the skin in here. And there's it's overwhelming, like an energy goo. I'm going to bring a lot of people here into your sacral chakra, and let's see what we can do working together with others to change the way that you feel valued and loved in this world. Genuinely valued and loved. You're like, people are terrible. People are awful. People are like, there's some underlying feeling like people beneath the surface are not, they're judgmental, they're mean, they're not necessarily good people. And so when these people come into your sacral chakra, you're threatened by them. You feel like they're there to harm you, to torture you, to torment you. And you start to see the wickedness is on their faces, okay? They're becoming wicked people in your sacral chakra. And I say, let's just give them a chance here. I see what you see, but I'm not convinced they're becoming wicked. You say, I hate them, and you're starting to turn into the man with the axe and the man with the chainsaw, and you're just wanting to break them and cut them and rip them apart and just make them go away. It's going to be hard because this is a deep level of trust. And I feel like it's not necessary for you to trust or not trust people. You just let people be who they are. It'll either work or it won't. And you'll find out it in time. But it's almost like you're vulnerable to being hurt by people. I'm glad we're having this conversation here in your sacral chakra with a bunch of people, because this is bringing out vulnerabilities, insecurities. I start to feel your heart beating and you're really unsure about the people that are planting seeds in the forest. And you start to feel that female energy, like she's still there and she never left. I say she's gone. So this is you working through an echo of memory. And she's not there at all anymore. So why don't you relax, and we're going to have to work with the word trust. Just let things fall into place. Let these people be who they are so that you can be who you are. You're really uncomfortable about this. We're going to vibrationally work with trust for a minute. You're starting to scream. You're saying they're burning me alive. They're burning me alive. You're just screaming this. It's a complete and utter illusion. It's not really happening. And so we're going to give into it. They're burning you alive. You're screaming. You can't get out of this. People are evil. And you cry as your flesh is melting. And you can't ever get out of this torture. Start to see the back of your heart chakra opens up and releases like a lot of pebbles or rocks. It actually starts to your back cracks, and there's like a inhale and exhale that happens from the back of your heart chakra. And it's not like breathing in fire or anything. It's like fresh air, actually. And you start to relax. And you say, what just happened? I say, that was the pain again that we had to feel in order to heal this. It's like, that's kind of a bummer, but it's like this inevitable part of the healing process. You're like, well, so that wasn't real? I say, no, it wasn't. But I'm glad that we got that out of your system, right? You're really tired. You start to see the people in your heart disappear and the people in your sacral chakra disappear, and you just need some time alone to really reflect. I say, I understand, and I give you a big hug. I say, let's look at the root chakra here for a little bit. Root chakra has a lot to just push out and release. It's done. Like that sore that we had to go into, that wound in your root chakra is not wounded anymore. It's like maybe it had to get stitches or something, but it's actually healing now. Because I don't see there's that wound there. It's more like sealed and in the healing process. Feel more confident, and you are not tormented or terrorized by this feminine energy. You're actually okay. You're actually yourself. I just want to put you in front of one person and see how you react now. You say you just don't care about that right now. Okay. You say, I just need to relax and clear my mind and my senses. It's almost like you're starting to understand without having to think about it. You can start to be somehow different without having to think about how to do that or how to try to do that, because you're so tired, you can't really be anything but tired right now. Which is interesting, because I asked you to hold in there, because I just see one person, and it's a woman. And she sees that you're not yourself today. And she asks if you're okay. And she actually notices that there's something emotionally off, like maybe you're going through a hard time, because she's also empathic. And for once, your energy is not ridiculously loud, and you're not feeling overwhelmed by the sound of her energy, and you're not Speedy Gonzalez, and you're not trying to digest a million things about her at the same time, and you're just you. And it's actually refreshing that somebody saw you in a very harmless and genuine way. And it was nice that they extended a hand to you. And now let's see if we put 3 people here. You start to just see them as individuals. They're just individual people going through individual lives. And I don't need to try to live up to some potential. It just doesn't even exist. I'm just an individual myself. Your energy field is so much different now. It's so much different now, Taur. Oh my gosh. You feel way more laid back, more relaxed, but energetically have a lot to digest and just rebalance. And you feel vibrationally like you're a new level you. All right, that's literally what I was called to share. Thank you very much for this experience. Oh man, I'm impressed, and I'm convinced that you are going to reach the next level of this. I really do feel like you are going to reach the next level of this. When it comes to interacting with people, it's going to feel different. And you're going to feel different, and you're going to be able to move to something new. Man, thank you for this. Thank you for sharing. Can't wait to see what Joe experiences. You're getting a double whammy today. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching this whole session. Thank you so much. Thank you for your love and support of my clients. I hope you all have a very wonderful rest of your day.